JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, state of emergency declared in St. James. A state of public emergency has been declared in the western Jamaica parish of St. James. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at Wednesday morning's post-cabinet media briefing. It follows Monday's killing of 3 people, including 2 children in Salt Spring, St. James. The killing sparked national outrage and renewed calls for decisive action against crime and violence.
After careful consideration and review of the current crime situation in St. James, His Excellency the Governor General has declared a state of public emergency in the entire parish of St. James. I advised the Governor General to make the declaration on the recommendation of the Chief of Defence Staff and the Commissioner of Police. It is the assessment of the security forces that the situation in St. James merits this response and the use of emergency powers. I'm sure that that is not in debate. Yesterday, the Parliament rose in unison to condemn the barbaric murder of innocent lives, young children who had their entire future ahead of them. And for all parents, it must be a consideration in your mind that it could have been your children. And so we take this moment as we declare our response to grieve with the families and to encircle them and surround them with our prayers for comfort at this time. But we also give resolute assurance to the people of Jamaica that we will not wilt, we will not resile in the face of terror.
Manchester family finds dead man in front yard. A family from Bonito in Mandeville, Manchester, woke up to find the body of a man in their front yard Tuesday morning. The body, which was found after residents reported hearing explosions Monday night, is believed to be that of Jerome Ferron, who is reportedly from a Grantham address in Clarendon. Information received indicate that around 8:07 p.m. Monday, residents heard loud explosions in the area and summoned the police. The police reportedly visited the area but did not observe anything irregular. Following a search, the police said no one was seen in the area. Around 7 a.m. on Tuesday, police said occupants of a premises on Bonito Way awoke and saw the body of the now deceased lying face down in their front yard and called the authorities. Police arrived and saw the lifeless man with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the upper body. The scene was processed and the body removed to the morgue pending a post-mortem examination. 2 spent casings were seen at a section of Bonito Crescent, the police said. Man shot dead near hospital in St. James. A man was shot dead at the entrance to Old Nurses' Quarters of the Conway Regional Hospital in Mount Salem, St. James, Tuesday morning. The man was being identified as 28-year-old Nicoy Barrett, was reportedly shot dead by a licensed farm holder who was a business at the nurses' quarters. Reports are that around 10 a.m., the licensed farm holder was at his business establishment when he saw Barrett, who was being a nuisance to other people, run in his direction. The businessman ran into his establishment and closed the shop door. It is alleged that Barrett began beating on the door. He then threw stones, broke a glass window, and breached the door. The licensed farm holder, the police said, became fearful and pulled his gun, and when Barrett managed to open the door, he discharged 5 shots in his direction, hitting him to his upper body. Barrett fell to the ground, and the businessman alerted the police, who, upon arrival, saw the body and retrieved the gun. Derek Harvey, chief medical officer at the hospital, said the incident left patients and workers shaken. Trauma in any era will affect people. Some people are aware that the gentleman was a patient, so I know some of them are traumatized, Harvey said. The St. James police are investigating. Gun seized during football game in Clarendon. Police in Clarendon are searching for a man who fled, leaving an illegal gun during a football game at the Versailles Sports Complex in Maypen on Tuesday. The man reportedly dropped the gun and ran away after he was accosted by an off-duty policeman at the venue. Reports are that around 5:30 p.m., a police team acting on information proceeded to the Versailles Sports Complex after they were alerted by an off-duty officer who observed a man acting suspiciously. The off-duty cop reportedly accosted the man, who dropped a black Glock 19 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 12 9mm rounds. The man, however, managed to elude the police. The police team canvassed the area but did not locate the suspect. It was the second gun recovered by the Clarendon police on the day, as hours earlier. Another gun was reportedly seized from a man riding a bike in Calit's district in the parish. Police said about 1 p.m., a quick response team signaled the motorcyclist to stop and he disobeyed. They pursued, accosted and searched him, and a revolver with 6 rounds was reportedly found on his person. Police seized the gun and took the man, said to be a farmer, from Coley district in St. Anne into custody. 20-year minimum sentence for children who commit murder. Education and Youth Minister Favour Williams has chastised lawmakers for being too soft on the sentencing of people who commit murder, including children aged 14 to 17. Williams made this admonishment as she voiced her disagreement with the majority of legislators who have accepted the proposal that children convicted of capital murder should serve a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years in prison before becoming eligible for parole. She is of the view that this sentence is too lenient and should be moved to 30 years, arguing that at the ages of 14 to 17, the child is on the doorsteps of being an adult and should know right from wrong. This matter of minimum sentencing for children falls under the Child Care and Protection Amendment Act, which has been reviewed by a joint select committee of Parliament. Speaking at the committee's meeting on Tuesday, Williams said that while the figures for children in the age range of 14 to 17 who commit capital murder may seem like a small percentage, remember, it's what it is today. We don't know 5 years, 10 years down the line what it will be, and we continue to be very soft in our sentencing of people who have committed heinous crimes. You cannot imagine the pain of the parent who lost her daughter because the child in this age range brought an implement to school, stabbed her and killed her. And we're sitting here being really soft and not sending the strong message that we're not going to tolerate crime in this country, she said. In response, Chairman of the committee, Delroy Chalk, said the committee has agreed that the sentence for capital murder for children can be life imprisonment or 50 years. That person may well never see road again. If they get life or 50 years, they may not see road until they are 64 if they get life, he said. What parole offers is that after 20 years or 30 years, as you suggest, that they are a different person from when they enter the prison, they could be allowed to continue their sentence up to 50 if they get the determinate sentence or continue the rest of their life serving their sentence in the community, he said. Chuck further noted that at any time, should they breach the parole conditions, they could immediately be returned to prison. Why would favor lesser sentences? Because, remember, for adults, we have said, even if you get paroled, it's not before 40 years. But for a child of 10 to 14 to 17, we hope, so within 20 years, it's a different person who would still be serving the sentence in the community. And in the unfortunate situation they breach a parole act, they are back in the prison, so they are really serving their sentence in the community. The good thing about parole is that most parolees are aware that the slightest breach they are back in custody, and that is why you have almost a 90% success of parole, because you're constantly checked on by social workers, he said. Opposition committee member Donna Scott Motley argued for an even lesser sentence of a minimum 10 years before being eligible for parole. She pointed out that she has taken into account all the submissions, including the view that incarceration is not what is advisable for children. I have taken note of what I observe happening in the society, where children really seem to have not got any values, any attitudes, any space in which they have grown to have an opinion as to what is proper conduct in certain circumstances, she said. Scott Motley said she has also taken into account the fact that experts have said that at that age, children are rarely able to make a considered decision. They don't evaluate it to know right or wrong. The minister, who has control of this bill, is determined to send a very strong signal to the society. But I also think that one must consider that sometimes they are not the ones who have created their own circumstances. In fact, the society contributes very heavily towards the kind of child, the kind of Jamaican that we're producing, she said. Scott Motley's opposition colleague, Sophie Fraser-Binns, agreed with the 10-year minimum sentence. At the end of the meeting, the majority of the committee agreed that children aged 14 to 17 and the charged with capital murder will face life imprisonment or a minimum determinate sentence of 50 years, and in both cases, no parole before 20 years. The majority of the committee further proposed that for non-capital murder, the sentence would either be life imprisonment or 30 years determinate sentence. The minimum mandatory sentence before parole is 15 years. Chang promises swift action in bringing schoolboys killers to justice. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang has vowed to mobilize all available resources to bring to justice the perpetrators responsible for the shooting death of 2 primary school boys in Flower Hill, St. James on Monday. The boys, 7-year-old Justin Perry and 9-year-old Nicholas Smith of Salt Spring in the parish, were killed after the taxi in which they were traveling was shot up by gunmen. Tevin Hale, 26, was also in the taxi and is believed to have been the target of the attack, was also killed. Minister Chang, accompanied by high-ranking law enforcement officials, including Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson and Head of the Area 1 Police, Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP Clifford Chambers, visited the grieving parents of the young victims to offer his condolences and assurance of swift action. The minister also stopped at the Chetwood Memorial Primary School, which the boys attended, where he met with the school principal, Garvin Atkinson. Speaking with journalists, Dr. Chang condemned the killings, noting that the assailants, whom he labeled as terrorists, showed no mercy and must be dealt with decisively and severely. This kind of criminal activity and brutality cannot in any way be countenanced by any element of government or security forces, and we will be mobilizing all resources and all possible legislation to hunt them down, to find them, to apprehend them, he said. Noting that the tragic incident appears to be linked to a poor killing in Flower Hill, Dr. Chang said the fear of violence has shocked the community, which had made strides in fostering a safe environment through collaborative efforts between the police and the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSAFE. He pledged that every effort will be made to find the criminals, get them out of the community, and restore quiet and safety in Salt Spring. I want to assure the parents of the students at Chetwood Primary School and the Salt Spring Primary and the teachers who are doing outstanding work at both schools that we're going to make every effort to create a safe space for them to operate in, he said. For his part, Commissioner Anderson said the police had been following good leads, adding that the Jamaica Constabulary Force remains resolute in ensuring the safety and security of the citizens of St. James. We will do what is necessary to protect the people of St. James. If criminals are going to open up automatic weapons on children, then we'll have to respond as necessary to make sure that doesn't continue, he said. The chaplaincy services and welfare unit of the JCF are providing support to the family members of the students. JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.